GoDaddy.
Don't worry about your grammar or your accent. What information you convey should be correct. So I'll try and do that. So now, let me also inform you that after the bomb blast, suicide bomb blast in Karachi, in which three Chinese teachers were killed, in Pakistani-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan in Ganche, the Chinese engineers who are working on a hydropower project, their security has been increased to the maximum. Now, in Pakistani-occupied Jammu Kashmir, which is under occupation since the 22nd of October 1947, in Bagh, after the Eid celebrations, there is no wheat. The wheat has been stopped. The Pakistan has stopped the supply of wheat to Pakistani-occupied Jammu Kashmir, and people are, going from place to place to find wheat, and wheat is our staple diet. Then, because of the price hike in Pakistan, it is affecting Pakistani-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, and the prices are skyrocketing. And just to give you an example, in Sikardu, in Pakistani-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, chicken is now being sold at more than rupees 680 a kilo, and mutton and lamb are being sold more than 1200 to 1400 rupees a kilo. Uh, Now coming to Union Territory Jammu Kashmir, I have a very good news for you to share with you. From Srinagar, 12 undergraduate students are on their way to America, to Kansas University, on an educational tour, and these students are from agriculture department, Baghbani, what they call it, horticulture department, and the forest department. The crops for strawberries have been really good, despite the fact that there was less rain and exposed a lot of heat because of the weather. The temperatures were really high, but the farmers are quite happy with the crops, or with the strawberry crop. Finally, the news is at between 2019 and 2022, it is being declared as the golden era of Jammu Kashmir. One must not forget that on 5th of August 2019, uh, the obstacles that were hindering the progress and prosperity of Jammu Kashmir, Articles 370 and 35A, were abrogated, And since then, I only give you statistics for 1 year. So in 1 year, Jammu Kashmir, 5,726 development projects have been completed, which is a record. Now, today, ladies and gentlemen, I have been quite vocal about the Hindu and Sikh genocide that took place in my city of Mirpur. And as you know, this is very emotional subject when it comes to myself personally as well, because people who were living side by side for centuries suddenly were being slaughtered by the invading Pakistan army and the tribals who were accompanying them. On the 25th of November, Pakistan army entered the city of Mirpur. So, and then there was a genocide, and we will know that it in more detail from our guest. I would like to introduce Professor Suresh Chandar, who is joining us from Delhi. Thank you very much. Namaste, Professor Ji, for joining us this late. I know it's nearly gone past 11 o'clock in Delhi, and it's very hot, and you should have been in bed. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Without further ado, I would come straight to the point. How old were you when you witnessed the genocide in the city of Mirpur?
I was old, third class, second standard.
Sorry, say again. Can you speak a bit louder, sir?
I was 6 years old at that time, and I was a student of second standard.
You were a student of second standard. So, what did you see? What happened?
You see, in the beginning, on the fateful day of 25th November, I was my family with my grandfather, that is my Nanaji. We were having a lunch there in the balcony of their house at the first floor. While we were almost finished our lunch, that a huge crowd came down, was coming from the other side, passing through the under our veranda, and the ladies were carrying half-cooked meals on their head. And then we inquired what has happened. They said that the Kabilis have entered the city. So without any further delay, we also decided, that is my father and my grandfather, that we should immediately shift to the Tehsil, that is the district headquarters. So whatever we had, little bit, we just moved out with the chappals and etc. And on the way, we informed our friends and the relations. So they didn't know that the Mirpur has fallen. So we all went to the district headquarters of Mirpur, where the courts were situated and all the situation. Then all of a sudden, there was a shower of bullets. But those days, I'm told those bullets were not real, but they were only making light. But for an ordinary person, they were the bullets. So everybody ran towards the slope of the district headquarters. It was a bushy area, and in the melee, the families were separated. I was separated from my grandfather, my other relations, my sister, my brother, and myself and my mother and my father were there in the other group. That's so then everybody, you see, just for taken about what is going to happen. Just went ahead wherever we found.
So, you were separated from your mother and father?
Without bothering going, there will be. My mother with me, but my sister, within minutes, we were separated. As it happens in any stampede.
And how did the Ali Beg death march start? Why did they ask you to go? Why did they take you towards Ali Beg? What did they say? Where are they taking you?
No, they did not take us on that day. We just kept walking, without any food, without any water, till late evening. And then, while we were going further ahead, somebody from the hilltop shouted that the jungle area or the Jammu area is on the right hand side, not on the left hand side. The people who are ahead of us, they went on the left side and they safely reached the jungle area. We went on the right hand side, reached the hilltop, and then on the other slope we went down and spent our night in a small cave. There were some small caves, in the hills. There are caves. We spent there, and in the morning, few people came, shouted, "We know getting here. You otherwise you will be here."
So people came shouting, telling you that we know you are here, come out, otherwise we will kill you.
For many people, from the very beginning, we started walking in a normal. There were 2, 3, 4 people
What happened to your father?
asked us to follow them.
What happened to your father?
Mother was there, but since it was not a very organized kind of thing, because I was a small child, sometime I the word, it was
I think that you are breaking up. If you can log out and then log back in. Can you log out and then log back in? Because you're breaking up.
No, am I audible now?
Yes.
How do I log? No, it's okay?
Yeah, it sounds okay. Yeah.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
So that Gorkha fellow was carrying the small child, a year old or a year and a half, and I was at the back of the caravan, the group which was going. And as we reached a small pond, village pond, one of the 2 people who were following, taking us ahead, one fellow took that child from the Gorkha, and the other fellow just beheaded his head with a sharp weapon.
Head.
Yes, I was a child, but I do not know at that time. Many people who see that this chicken etc. is killed, they stop eating meat. But I do not know what happened. I never cried. I didn't shout that what has happened. Just followed, marched on, and I don't think I even told my father that this has happened. Then we were taken slowly, and we went to a place called Thatyal. We reached at Thatyal, and Thatyal, many people had come from various directions because we were captured from all over. And when we reached there, I could see a huge of ornaments. And there was the aircraft engine was also there, and they were very happy to say that we have shot down the Indian Air Force plane. And then they said that that is, hand over all the ornaments you have and put it in the heap. And I saw one child, that small girl, who had earrings here, and then they just snatched it and tearing the ears, and then naturally the blood will come out. And my Moses' daughter was also with us. She got scared and told my mother, "Mausi, मेरी जो नाली इसको निकाल दीजिए, otherwise they will cut off my nose also." That was very terrific thing to watch, and of course it happened, finished that night. And then perhaps one night we spent in the Thatyal camp. Now it was not a camp, in the hutments, village huts that we were kept one night, and the next day we were taken to Ali Beg. And the Gurdwara, you see, there are small rooms under the main platform, and we were kept there. Nobody knows how many, and you will be surprised to know that it was a dark. You see, there was no electricity, of course, those days, and there was no provision of light. Also, it was a fairly dark. In the evening, maybe 7 o'clock or so. A gentleman in plain clothes was passing by and a child started crying. He was just next to me. That soldier did not like, or a person was carrying the gun, the cry of that little boy. He aimed the rifle inside the room and aimed. And surprisingly, his aim was good. That by the sound he did it, and that child died. He was just sitting with me. Had he missed the aim, I could have died.
And you were 6 years old, and then this child
Yes,
dies in
6 years.
your arms.
Not in my arms.
What was,
He was with his mother, sitting just by side of me.
so when you saw that, what was your reaction? Do you remember?
I think those that time these all reactions and feelings had died down.
You were numb.
No feeling, numbed. That's the right word.
So how did your father receive martyrdom? What happened to your father?
What happened? You see, one day this the then Prime Minister or President, our Sardar Muhammad Ibrahim came to the camp. And Sardar Muhammad Ibrahim, if you know, he was, after his Bharat law, he was appointed as a public prosecutor at Mirpur. And he knew most of the lawyers there and the advocates and all those people. And those all advocates surrounded him and said that what is happening to us, please help us out and all that. He said, don't worry. No harm will be done to the, I'm there to, as you are my friend. But I think that was a signal to those security people what to do. Next day, or maybe on day or two or later, just the people who are educated, first I think all the advocates were taken up. They were told that you come, we will find some job for you and all that. Don't worry, come with us. But they never returned. Then came the turn of the school teachers. My father was a school teacher. Actually, at that time in Mirpur, a school of 10+2 was started, intermediate. Earlier it was a high school. Then it was converted into an intermediate college. And my father was transferred because of the intermediate college. Earlier we were at Jammu at the time, about a year back. So next time, the day my father was also taken. We did not know what is going to happen. Then after 2-3 a gentleman wearing his clothes. And that was enough of an indication that our father has died. And
so you saw someone
naturally,
wearing your father's clothes.
Exactly. And later on, one of my teachers later on, Mr. Harbanslal, he was also a teacher. He was taken there. I do not know whether in the same batch as my father or another batch. So what he explained later on was that all these people were asked to remove their clothes. And this fellow was a good swimmer. He jumped into the Manglar canal and found his way out, and some noble Muslim gentleman had on to gave him a shelter. Then he explained that what was happened, that the people were asked to remove all their clothes, and they were all beheaded. Somebody asked them, okay, why do you behead? Why don't you shoot us instead? They said, why should we waste a bullet for 8 annas? So they were slaughtered straight away. So this was the story of my father, that how he was killed, and we just did not have any emotion. As you said, it was numb. Neither my mother
So how
cried
did
nor
you manage to get out of this? How did you survive?
We used to get some kind of a flour, wheat flour. They give nothing else. So my mother used to cook on some tin piece, you see, which is lying around. And we were taken, the young children were taken to a nearby Maidan for collecting the firewood. And that place where we were collecting the firewood, later on my teacher, Harbanslal, told me that the area where you are collecting the firewood was the area where the Alexander and Porus battle took place. And I don't know how many people in Mirpur know about it. So then later on I checked also, and it tallies with the facts also. And one gentleman from this Pak-occupied Kashmir, who is a counselor in Lancaster. While talking to him, he said that he did find a huge pile of elephant bones near Mangla Dam. So at that time, Mirpur did not have any elephants. So it must be maybe the Porous army had a large contingent of elephants. Maybe they were from them. Nobody has dated them, of course.
So do you think that Sardar Ibrahim had a role to play, number one, and secondly, people who were beheading Hindus and Sikhs, were they Pakistan army officials or were they tribals?
They could be any, the tribals as well as the locals.
And what about Sardar Ibrahim? Do you hold him responsible for this genocide?
I do.
So how many people do you think were killed during that short period of time?
I think it's very difficult to hazard a guess. Taken to the young women, ladies and women, they all were trying to kill themselves by jumping into the river, not river, there was no river, canal and the village ponds. And or the well, they just try to commit suicide, and they did. And many were rescued also by the captors. My mother also wanted to jump into the one of the ponds. Then I very meekly asked my mother, if you die, what will happen to me? And she did not jump. At that time, I think my father was also not with us. He might have gone ahead or behind, because it was not a organized crowd. We were just walking and walking. That's all. So my mother would have walked him.
Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us tonight, Professor Saab. Next week, today is Tuesday. On Thursday, I would like to have you again, and I would like us to have this same conversation in Hindi, Urdu, Punjabi, Dogri, so that people of POJK and POGB also understand your struggle and understand that what we tell them about the genocide of Hindus and Sikhs is not a fairy tale. It actually did take place. Thank you very much for joining us today, Professor Saab. I really appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, you have watched our program today, and you have heard first-hand witness testimony of a 6-year-old child at the time who survived this genocide and saw children beheaded, shot next to him, and felt that he was totally numb. I strongly recommend that a Truth and Reconciliation Commission should be formed to look into this. Plus, Pakistani Army and Pakistan, the state of Pakistan, should be tried for crimes against humanity at the International Court of Justice. Thank you very much for being with us. Jai Hind.